Hi everyone, so this video marks a huge milestone of my own personal journey, but also the YouTube journey. And I've graduated phase 2, it is done. I am no longer a recruit, I'm now officially an AS1. And that really concludes this sort of entire YouTube journey, if you will, that we started off. And I sort of wanted to spend a couple of minutes sort of reflecting on it. And then I wanted to give some sort of words of advice, words of wisdom that I've learned over these 2 years. And then I've got something at the end of the video that I hope you guys enjoy to sort of symbolize this sort of journey that we've been on. And I hope you enjoy that. When I think back to the 2 years, there's definitely a couple of things that really came into my mind. The application process was definitely stressful, but for phase 1 was the sort of, definitely the fact that my partner was pregnant when I went in, and my daughter was going to be sort of born during basic, and all that stress. Am I gonna be able to make it? What's the plan? I didn't know, and then fortunately I was able to make a plan. I was able to make it, and it all worked out sort of honky dory. So you had all that as well, and then the sort of stresses of then obviously once we get to phase 2, we're going to get a house. Am I going to have to, what am I going to have to do in order to that? Being a dad, I didn't know what I was doing. So there was a lot of things that I had to sort of get used to and deal with, and that's not even including the stresses of the job and basic training and phase 2 and stuff like that. So definitely is challenges. And then phase 2 mainly was the academic side. I've mentioned this. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm definitely not the dumbass, but I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I do get on with it. Definitely reliable. Always show up, and people can rely on me. I hope to think so. And always give it my 100%, and that's what I've always done. But another stress sort of personally was obviously having a house. What I'm in right now, that brings its own stress, its own challenges, and especially in a relationship as well that I had my fiance. This is when you move in together, it changes the relationship. You expect different things from each other, and there was many times where we did have a bit of struggles, arguments and stuff like that. But we stuck together. We're faithful for each other, and now we're fine. We've got through it, we worked things out, and we're going to move into our new house very soon, and we're quite excited for that. So that really concludes the sort of main heavy stresses of the sort of 2 years. There's many other ones I could talk about. The stresses of PT and all that stuff, but they're sort of like the sort of I call it like the sort of everyday stuff. This is the stuff I mentioned was the big heavy stuff that really challenged me, and I became even more spiritually. I got baptized while I was at phase 2 as well. Just the other week, actually, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I got baptized. Had to stand up in front of 350 people and tell my personal story as to why I came to Christ and religion and stuff like that. So that was definitely stressful, but I actually found that I was very confident going up there. I've never spoken in front of 300 people, and I didn't stutter. So I was actually, it went very well. And a lot of people was like, that was an amazing testimony, like really powerful, this, that, and the other. So that was, very good. So there's a lot changed in these definitely 2 years. But I just want to say before I mention these sort of things that I recommend, I'm not you guys' dad. So the things that I'm going to talk about next, you don't have to do. It's up to you. But it's something that I've learned, and I feel like I want to state in order to hopefully help you guys or give you guys some wisdom. The first point is that when it comes to stresses, now for many of you, when you go into obviously Horton and things like that, there's going to be many different levels of stress, different things to be stressed of. It could be PT, it could be you're worrying about this exam, or you're worrying about getting your kit prep. Different areas of stress that are all related to it. Maybe you have your own personal stress as well. Definitely what I had, especially with partner being pregnant and money and all this other stuff. Definitely heavy amounts of stress while trying to still do the job or do the training. And but I've always done a checklist approach. So I'll just go through in my head, like just sort of checklist it out. Can I do the first one, to rectify it, or can I do something to make it easier or get it close to rectifying? Yes, no, to move on. Yes, do it. So, an example for me would be that my daughter being born, I didn't know what's going to happen. I obviously can't rectify that because she I can't force the birth. It's going to happen in its own time. But I didn't know what the sort of plan is, didn't know what a gen is. So I went and spoke to my staff and I said, this is what's happened. They then set a plan in motion, and they sort of put that in the back foot, waiting for it to happen. And then they initiated a plan when it happened. So, I'd done something closer to rectifying it. And then I feel much more better because I know the plan, I know what's happening. Now I just got to wait. So I moved on to the next bit. So I definitely recommend you guys do that if you don't already. It's just like a mental going through, not a literal. If you want to write it all out, then maybe that helps you in fair dues. But, for me, it was more like a mental approach to it. The second one is more of a personal level. Now, I don't really know how I'm going to word this, so I'm just going to go for it like most things. So I know for many people out there, and this is definitely me, definitely including myself, is that you are good enough to join, okay? Please don't think that you're not good enough. Now, I'm not just talking about the people, obviously when I say join, that's obviously related to the application process, but I'm also talking about phase one. You get to phase one, you might be stressed. You can do it. You get to phase two, the exams, the academic side of it. Definitely not me, but you can do it. Just put your effort in. And, mainly for the people who are looking at joining up and you have that doubt in your mind, you will always have your doubt in that mind. That doesn't mean you should listen to it, okay? So an example being, I just got my postings like a month ago or so from where I'm going to be going. It was a job that I put as my second choice, and I can't talk about where I'm going and what job I'm doing, but I didn't actually know what I applied for, because I initially wanted Lossiemouth as a base, but I didn't get that, unfortunately. So then my sort of fiance wanted this particular base that now we're going, and then I just put some random one in the third one, and I didn't know what job it was. She just wanted that base, so I thought, okay, what role is it? That role, yes, the first one, which I don't even know what it is. I just apply for it, and and when I found out what the role is, I thought, oh yeah, I'm definitely not the right person for this job. I even said it out loud, like to my sergeant, like I think they've picked the wrong person here. But as it matured, and I guess you say marinated, I guess it's a good way of saying it. I felt like, okay, yeah, I still don't know if I'm confident enough to do it, but I will show up, I'll be reliable, I'll put my absolute effort in, and I'll try and help as many people as I can and be a good team player. And sometimes that means more than anything. So, I'm going to go there, give it my all, learn as much as I can, do any course they want me to do, and make the most of it. And that's made me a little bit less stressful. I can't really change the fact that I don't feel like I'm confident because I haven't done the job yet. Obviously, that rectifies when the job's done. But it's more to the fact of, that I've added bits on. Like, well, as long as I'm reliable and I'm a good person and they can trust me, that adds a bit on. So now I've added these sort of positives onto the stress, so it numbs the stress down just a little bit, as an example. But people who are looking at joining, you might not be physically fit. Guys, it basically took me a year from applying to stepping into Halton, okay? But, I sort of finished the application process in like March time of 2024, but I put my application in April. I done my fitness test on the February 2024. Again, I applied April 2023. So if your fitness is not up there yet, and that's when the run was at 11:11, it's even less now. I think it's like 13 or 14, which is crazy. I was hitting like 12 and a half, 13 when I first started out. So I could have just walked it now quite easily. But obviously people out there, they may find that stressful. Or they don't think they're good enough. Just give yourself the time. Get your plan set. Again, the stress is you don't think you can pass it. Okay, what's your current time consistently? Oh, I'm hitting 15 minutes. Right, so you need to improve it by a minute and a half. What's your current pace? Whatever it is, like 12 or 13, whatever. I don't know the pace and things, but you find that the pace. Okay, what can I do what can I do to make it better? I don't know. I don't know a plan. Look up a plan. Go to the gym. Just start making efforts. It's not a case of you've got to do it every single day. If you want to do it every single day, fine. I would encourage that. At least 3 times a week is a good one to do. A couple of days recovery, and maybe you want to up the what you do 4 or 5 days a week, 1 day recovery, 2 days, like whatever, right? Just see it as like a fun challenge, and just ignore the fact you've got to do the fitness test. Put the application in. Start getting fitter. Get the DAA. Once you do the DAA, do the interview. Once you do the interview, then you can really just focus on that big, next 3 months getting your fitness, because you can't really prepare for the medical. But you still got to do the DAA, you still got to do the interviews. So don't neglect them as well. And then for anyone, obviously with the medical, I know there are legitimate reasons why you won't be able to join. Maybe it's a heart condition or something like that. That obviously can affect your application process. And I'm not the JSP book of, what can be accepted, what can't, and things change all the time. But, just as a sort of person-to-person level, at the end of the day, right, I learned, growing up and really ruining my life in the late teenagehood and even early 20s, that opportunities don't come around often. So when I had the opportunity to join the RAF, and I don't mean the opportunity that someone came to me, I had this feeling to join the RAF. To me, that's an opportunity. Okay, I done it. I just gripped it by 4 hands, and trust me, there was times where I didn't feel like, and I mentioned this in my previous video, that, okay, I'm going to apply, but I won't apply yet because of my fitness. Unfortunately, I had that support group in my old work. They were like, put the application in now. Put that pressure on yourself, because you'll be surprised how much you can perform under pressure. So I definitely recommend you guys the same thing. Whatever it is, if you don't feel like you're academic enough for the DAA, put the application in. Just revise. Do as much as you can. You can only do your best. Okay. Anyway, going back to the medical, is that, like I say, I'm not the sort of JSP book of what can be accepted or what can't. Okay, but I know that. You go through life and you don't want to ruin opportunities. I've done that plenty when I was growing up, and I lost a lot of opportunities. I went down bad places, rabbit holes. Just put the application in. If it's something that you've always wanted to do, put the application in, because you'll be shocked sometimes the outcomes of things. okay? Because it's not a question of, oh, will I fail, what it is. The question I actually ask to you, to ask yourself, is that, okay, let's say you go into the medical and you're almost certain you fail. And he says, congratulations, you've passed the medical, that's it, and your application's done, and you're going into RAF Fulton. Like, what if that happened? What would you feel like if you missed that opportunity, if you knew that was what to happen? So, you don't lose anything, guys. Yeah, you might lose a couple of months, you might be stressed out and that, but just do it, because you'll be shocked sometimes the outcome of things. Again, I know there's people that almost certain know that they're not going to get in, but even still, like, you just don't know. Just go for it and see what happens. And if you don't get into it, and what you thought was right, then at least you can tell yourself that you gave it your all and you've done it and you got to that point. There's nothing to be unproud of them, because you took that scaredness, you took that stress, and you did it. And even though that you didn't get into what you want, you would have learned something from yourself. So definitely do that. And then on a sort of last note, this is probably going to stir a few heads, but I feel like it's important to talk about. There is nothing honourable in getting drunk. Okay, so. I wouldn't say necessarily promoted it, but during phase 2 at the weekend, we come back to the Monday, almost not every instructor, but a lot of instructors would talk about, oh, did you guys go and get pissed on the weekend? Did you go out on the smash, the bender? Some instructors said I went out and, did that as well. And I just, personally for me, I don't find it respectful. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think seeing people getting absolutely caked up to their face and they're acting all stupid and they're shouting this, that and the other is something to be proud of, personally. I know in the military, the drinking place is rife. A lot of the military, they drink, and they do crazy stuff. I'm not necessarily against drinking. I'm just drenched against, getting absolutely heavily smashed. I went out the other night with my fiance and I had a bottle of Beck's. I love Beck's Lager or Beck's beer or whatever it's called. It's always quite refreshing for me, but I won't go to that extent of getting absolutely drunk. That's what I'm against. And, I went out with the course a couple of weeks ago and, they were like, yeah, we're going to have a good night. And I was like, yeah, I want to have a good night. We went to St. Sweet, went to Weatherspoons, and some of them were getting smashed. But me and one other was just talking about how the course went and, what we're looking forward to. And we had a really good evening. We had quite a deep conversation. And when I woke up, I said to my fiance, that was a great night. I had a really good night. But then there's some people who got absolutely sort of shit-faced, if you will. And they said, I don't even remember the night. So, that's why I just wanted to state it. I know it's going to stir a few heads because I know, obviously, in the military, you drink a lot. I'm not against going out and drinking. I'm just against getting that absolutely smashed. You lose loads of money. You could potentially damage yourself if you're doing it consistently. And you could potentially get addicted as well. I've come from a family where I'd say many of them, there's a lot of sort of alcoholics in there as well. So I know the effects of what it can do. And, fortunately for me, I've never really been a drinker, not just because I'm religious, but because I just don't like the idea. And again, I've seen what it does for my own thing. So I'd have maybe one or two, but I always control myself. After that, I just have Pepsi or like Coke or whatnot. I'm always just less. And then, I can still have good conversations and other things like that. So the only reason I wanted to say that is because I feel like it's not promoted when people talk about, do you go out and get on the piss? But it feels like, as a social thing, we should go out and do that. And I'm just saying that I don't care what anyone says, I won't ever do it. So, I just wanted to state that again, just not to destroy anyone's fun. You can go out there, enjoy yourself, have a drink, but don't get absolutely, blacked out drunk. Some people somehow find it enjoyable, but I'll just advise against it because there's nothing great. And, again, I think that the military life, it pushes that quite heavily, but alcohol is not a good thing to take, okay? So, just going to state that there. Don't want to be a party pooper, but hopefully, for some people listening, they may feel like, I'm going to go get drunk, and then they feel like, I don't want to get blacked out. I don't want to spend loads of money. I just want to actually enjoy myself. And some people, that is just having one drink or two drinks. Some people, it is just getting smashed, but I would obviously advise against that. So you do you guys. I'm not your dad. You do what you want. But that's really going to be the end of the video. So I just wanted to, sort of do a little compilation of all the videos that I've done in the next minute or so. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. But again, just go for it, guys. Go for it. If you're in the application process, go for it. If you're in basic, give it your all. Give phase 2, get for it, will end. And at some point, I'm now an example of it, that you can do it. If you're not, not the sharpest tool in the shed like me, or not the fittest like me, you can do it. So thank you so much for sticking by me and giving all the encouragement. And the amount of comments I've got, and people come up to me, and it's just insane. The amount of people like, your channel really helped me, and that helps me because that makes me feel so good. No amount of money I don't care about the money side of it. So yeah, thank you so much for giving me this sort of confidence and giving me the reasons also to push forwards. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this next thing that I've done for you guys. To the first episode of my mini series in which I'm going to be documenting my personal progress of my RAF application. And today we're going to be talking about the big bad interview. Yes, the very, very scary interview that most of us can relate, including myself. Getting annoyed, but we're getting to the end, so it's been worth it. So, for the juicy stuff, was it a pass or fail? So, I passed it. I actually passed it. Oh, Air Force, I know. The last episode, I can't believe I just said that. Last episode. It's been a hell of a long journey to get to this point. Video, I know. It's been a while, 2.5 months. Feels like a lifetime ago. Maybe not for you guys. But today we're going to be talking about fitness in basic training at RAF Halton. Today's one's been a video I've been meaning to make since I got back from phase 1. And then just make sure there's no dirt on this. It's got a little bit of polish, but I'm going to fold that over so it's not going to touch it at all. And then try and living room. Obviously, this is my favourite chair. This is where I sit and watch my TV every night. Of course, can't complain. Exactly on this day, the 22nd of April, I took my first steps into RAF Halton, and really where my whole RAF career began. Next, take care, bye-bye. Take care. Take care, bye-bye. Take care, bye-bye. Take care, bye-bye. Take care, bye-bye. Okay, so this isn't necessarily the end, but this is obviously the end of something we've been working for. So with that in mind, thank you so much for sticking by me. I'll see you soon, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.